Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Spacing Out. I'm Jason McClellan.
And I'm Maureen Ellsbury. Thanks for joining us. We're actually happy to announce that Spacing Out is once again a weekly show.
That's right. We're back to our original weekly schedule, and we're excited to get you caught up on some of the space and UFO stories that have made headlines recently.
A witness recorded video of a UFO floating in the sky above London, England on the afternoon of Monday, April 28th.
As the Daily Mirror describes, the witness saw the aerial object at approximately 1:30 p.m. in North London, and the witness posted photos of the UFO to his Facebook account with the following description. "I captured this object a couple of streets away from where I live. The object appeared black in color and was rotating as it moved along. I captured nearly 5 minutes of video before I lost sight of it floating in the direction of Highbury and Islington. I'm not sure what this object is. I thought it was a balloon, but there appears to be a light on it." According to the witness, this UFO was half a mile away and approximately 500 to 1,000 feet off the ground.
Although the object's appearance seems unusual, it strongly resembles a helium-filled remote-controlled shark toy. Now, these are made for indoor use only, but they've been known to escape into the skies, drifting up and out of the range of remote controls.
As we reported in December 2012, a passenger plane nearly collided with the UFO over Glasgow, Scotland. The Daily Record ran a story about the incident, which caught the attention of a local resident. He immediately responded to the paper to report that his son Billy lost his grip on his 6-foot-long helium-filled remote-controlled shark toy at about the same time the incident with the plane occurred. A helium-filled remote-controlled shark toy was also suggested as the likely identification for a UFO captured on video by a 12-year-old girl in Ohio in March 2012.
The witness who recently observed the UFO over London states that the 5-minute video showing this aerial object will be uploaded to YouTube, but the video has yet to be uploaded.
2 former military men reported a huge triangular object flying directly above them in Georgia back in 2013.
According to the report, the 2 witnesses observed a large triangular UFO on November 19, 2013 at 6:20 p.m. One of the witnesses served as an aircraft technician in the Army and had military intelligence background. The second witness served as an aircraft mechanic in the Air Force, and both men had 38 years of military experience with aircraft.
The witnesses report that this UFO flew about 500 feet above them. They both described the object as having a wingspan larger than a C-5A cargo plane. They also estimated the object's speed at a slow 10 to 15 knots, roughly 12 to 17 miles per hour.
This large craft moved slowly through the sky, making no noise at all. The witnesses stated that the rear of the object displayed a row of white pulsing lights, and as the craft moved away, the witnesses saw a very small drone-like object flying alongside the UFO.
One of the witnesses described, "I could almost make out what appeared to be seams in the material, but it was not shiny, more dull and like carbon fiber. The leading edge was rounded, and there was no tail to say."
He continued, "The ends had a reddish-pink glow, but not strobes or rotating beacons. I could not make out a cockpit. It turned to the southeast towards Moody Air Force Base as if it was in a pattern, but way too low. As it did this, I could see the back of it. This is why I say it looked like a big wing. The lights on the back were from left to right and white, not strobes, but pulsing."
This incident was reported by the Mutual UFO Network, or MUFON, as their UFO of the month for April 2014. MUFON says their Sighting of the Month reports are real cases that have been investigated and found to be unexplained.
It was announced on Thursday, April 24th, that director Ridley Scott is developing an alien-themed drama titled Pharaoh for HBO.
Scott has signed on to serve as the executive producer and director for this project, which was created and sold to the premium cable channel by David Schulner. The Hollywood Reporter explains, the drama explores an alternate explanation for the foundation and ascent of the ancient Egyptian empire, one in which greatness was bestowed upon us by beings from another world, calling into question what it means to be a god.
Although this plot outline sounds familiar to that of Stargate franchise that began with the 1994 film and followed with the sci-fi television series Stargate SG-1, it sounds like the premise of Pharaoh is different enough. Blaster states, obviously fans of Stargate are pretty familiar with this concept, and it sounds like Scott could be putting a spin on the old premise, minus the gates apparently. And Wired UK speculates the series will be something along the lines of Rome with an ancient astronaut's twist, rather than a Stargate redux.
Of course, Scott is familiar with the extraterrestrial genre. He's well known for his 1979 blockbuster hit Alien, and more recently the 2012 film Prometheus. Scott also directed the successful period film Gladiator in 2000. With Farrow blending extraterrestrial and historical elements, Scott seems to be a pretty good fit for the project. And Scott himself is a proponent of ancient alien theories. His film Prometheus was partially inspired by the writings of Swiss author Erich von Däniken, who is known for his books like Chariots of the Gods and Gods from Outer Space. Von Däniken is also a regular talking head on History Channel's Ancient Aliens.
Scott is also currently directing a seemingly related film called Exodus, Gods and Kings, scheduled to be released in December of 2014.
William Shatner was a guest on Larry King Now on Wednesday, April 23rd. In this episode, the 83-year-old actor, author, musician, and comedian speaks with King about a variety of topics, including the cinematic showing of his one-man show, technology, the environment, and wine, among other things. The two also discussed a book about UFOs and alien abduction on which Shatner is currently working.
Shatner does not really provide any details about this book, but when King asks him about it, Shatner brings up famed Harvard psychiatrist and alien abduction researcher John Mack. Shatner explains that Mack was given by a friend of his the opportunity to interview some of the people who said that they've been abducted by UFOs. After 200 interviews, he concluded that they were right.
Shatner continues, his conclusion was, UFOs are on another plane, another reality. They may not be the meteors we see that we think are UFOs. In microphysics, sometimes the act of observing brings about the event. So there may be a photon of light that doesn't exist but suddenly comes into existence while you're examining that goes off in another direction and ceases to exist. The principle being that there is such mystery of what we puny human beings have no knowledge of.
Shatner has a fondness for exploring mysteries and the unknown, and his book will seemingly explore the mystery of alien abduction specifically. After listening to Shatner's commentary on alien abduction, King asks him if he believes that UFOs exist.
Rather than offering a simple answer, Shatner comments, are they a product of us? There's a mystery here. When a mind like Johnny Mack can say, this happened, there's too much community in these people who say they've been abducted, there's too much emotional baggage, something is happening. What is it? That's the question. So do UFOs exist? It depends on what you mean exist.
As Time magazine points out, Shatner has been vocal about his extraterrestrial beliefs. In 2010 Montreal Gazette interview, he states, there is no doubt that there is life out there. The mathematics of it lead you to that absolute conclusion. In my mind, there is no doubt that the universe teems with life in all its forms.
Shatner hosted a show that premiered in 2010 titled William Shatner's Weird or What?, in which his fascination with exploring the inexplicable, including alien encounters, was showcased. The show debuted on History in Canada and also made its way to Discovery and Sci-Fi in the United States.
Shatner did not mention the name of his upcoming book about alien abductions or announce a projected release date on Larry King Now, but he is active on Twitter. You can follow him at William Shatner. So any announcements regarding the book will most likely be there first. And my first question is, did he really state whether this was going to be a non-fiction or a fiction book?
Yeah, we don't know that. Haven't seen the details about that. Does call it a novel, but we don't know if it's going to be fictitious or not, but it does seem to be based on the work of John Mack a little bit. That's really the only thing he talked about was John Mack and how he basically researched that whole thing.
And I like that because, I do write a little bit of fiction myself, and I think that when you play into reality of cases that are actually reporting and you're writing a novel based on that, it makes it more interesting.
It really does, and it's fascinating to listen and watch Shatner talk about this on the show because you can tell that he is pretty passionate about it and seems to be quite a believer.
When you're on Star Trek for that long,
Well, that's right, and that's why, he among other celebrities, gets asked the question about UFOs and aliens a lot, and he's always come back with pretty positive answers. So it'll be interesting to see as this develops. He's working on several other books right now, too, and other projects, so I don't know how much of a priority this is, but certainly the Larry King Now show is the first time that we've heard about it, at least the first time I've heard about it, so it's fascinating, so we'll follow up on that.
Go ahead. I was going to cut you off here. I got to ask you about this sighting by these two military guys.
Okay.
what the heck do you think this is? Because, I mean, initially when you listen to it, it's only going 12 to 17 miles per hour. It seems like it's too big of a shape to be a blimp in the way they're describing it.
Well, this thing sounds gigantic.
Yeah.
And I will say, we do love sightings reported by military personnel. You know, the quality of witness, you kind of take that into account here. These people, not only were they former military, but they also had experience with planes. They knew planes, they were able to describe it in terms of planes. The size of it is gigantic. The speed is moving very slowly with no noise. So, and the pattern of lights they saw too. No navigation beacons, but kind of these pulsing left to right lights on the rear of the craft. It's very bizarre. So this is one of my more favorite sightings in quite a while.
So yeah, and this is interesting because we don't know how much background they have in terms of were they, you know, knowledgeable about secret projects that were going on.
Right.
Possibly not. So it could be something more military, or is it something completely unexplained?
And we don't know that these people have experience with aerial objects either. They were mechanics, they worked on airplanes, but not necessarily pilots themselves.
Right.
So that can play into it too. But based on their description, what the behavior they describe in this craft, it sounds pretty darn fascinating.
Yeah, and unfortunately, of course, we only have their drawings to go by.
Yep.
But MUFON did investigate and tried to look into it and said, we don't know.
That's right, left unknown. So, but I will say that it's got to be one of my favorite sightings in quite a while. I like it, and we've got a lot more of good sightings lately with photos and videos. So do check that out at our website, openminds.tv. That's all for this episode of Spacing Out, and you can find out so much more at our website. The things we talked about, including the video with William Shatner on Larry King's show. So do check that out. And if you like podcasts, go to openminds.tv/radio and check out our podcast, Open Minds UFO Radio.
If you enjoyed today's show, please click on the like button and subscribe to our channel so you know when we post new content. Thanks again for joining us today. And don't forget to tune in again next week since we're weekly again.
That's right.
I'm Maureen Ellsbury.
And I'm Jason McClellan. We will see you in the near future.
If you have a UFO sighting or something you would like to report to Open Minds, you can go to our website at openminds.tv and click the contact button to send us your request. Or you can email us at contact@openminds.tv. You can also call us at 1-877-UFO-0110. That's 1-877-836-0110.